Ladies and gentlemen, let's get one thing straight. Respect is not something you can buy, charm your way into, or fake for long. It's the silent currency that determines how people treat you when no one else is looking. And when it comes to a man's respect for a woman, it's not just about attraction. It's about admiration. Men can be drawn to beauty, but they stand in awe of a woman who carries herself with self-respect, unshakable standards, and a presence that demands honor without ever asking for it. If you've ever wondered why some women are treated like an option, while others are treated like a queen, stay with me, because these 4 rules will make the difference between being overlooked and being deeply respected for life. If there's one thing you need to understand before we go any further, it's this. People treat you according to the price tag you put on yourself. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about the worth you carry in your mind, in your spirit, and in the way you live your life. Self-respect is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Without it, you're a bargain shelf item, looked at, touched, but never valued. With it, you're a rare piece, priceless, untouchable, and unforgettable. Self-respect is built in the quiet moments when no one is watching. It's in the way you decide what you will accept and what you will not. It's the way you speak about yourself when you're alone, because the world can smell insecurity long before you open your mouth. You can wear the finest clothes, drive the most expensive car, and look flawless on the outside. But if you don't have respect for yourself, you've already told the world how to treat you. You've handed over the blueprint for your own mistreatment. People don't just randomly decide to disrespect you. They learn from you what's allowed. If you keep letting people step over your boundaries, they will run over you like a welcome mat. That's not their fault. That's a result of what you've permitted. Self-respect is not about being aggressive, arrogant, or unapproachable. It's about making it clear through your actions, not just your words, that you will not be treated as less than you deserve. And here's the hard truth. Keeping your self-respect will cost you people. It will cost you relationships, friendships, sometimes even opportunities that look good on the surface. But every time you let go of something or someone that requires you to lower your standards, you make room for what was meant for you in the first place. The wrong people will resent your self-respect, but the right ones will honor it. You see, men respect women who respect themselves because it shows them something rare. It shows them you value yourself even without their approval. It tells them, I'm good before you came, I'll be good if you leave, and I'm not afraid to walk away if you cross the line. That's not pride, that's power. That's not attitude, that's awareness of your worth. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how people treat valuable things? They don't toss them around, they handle them with care. They make sure they're protected. They understand the cost of losing them. Now compare that to how they treat things that are easy to replace. That's the difference between a woman who respects herself and one who doesn't. The first is treated like a treasure, the second like a temporary convenience. When you carry self-respect, it's not loud, it's not in your face, but it's felt. People can see it in the way you walk into a room, shoulders back, eyes forward, not scanning the room for approval. They can hear it in the way you speak, firm, clear, without over-explaining yourself to be understood. They can sense it in the decisions you make. You're not desperate, you're deliberate. And when a man sees that, something shifts in his mind. He realizes he can't play with you the way he might with others. He realizes that if he wants a place in your life, he has to rise to your standard, because you're not going to lower yours. But self-respect is more than just saying no to disrespect. It's also saying yes to self-care, self-growth, and self-discipline. You can't demand respect from the world while disrespecting yourself with unhealthy habits, toxic environments, and people who drain your spirit. Respect is a mirror. You get back what you show yourself. And when you raise your standards for yourself, you raise the quality of everything and everyone around you. Now, self-respect will be tested. Life will put you in situations where you'll have to decide if you'd rather keep your dignity or keep the person in front of you. And in those moments, the easy choice is to compromise just to avoid conflict. But the choice that builds you, the choice that strengthens you, the choice that commands respect every single time is to choose you. Because the moment you compromise yourself, respect for someone else's comfort, you teach them that your dignity is for sale. Some will call it selfish. Some will call it being too much. But the truth is, those people are simply uncomfortable with the fact that they can't control you. They can't manipulate you. They can't guilt you into being less than you are. And that's exactly why the right man, the right people, will respect you all the more. Because you're not for sale, you're not for rent, and you're not for temporary use. You are permanent quality. Now, once self-respect is in place, the second pillar is just as critical: emotional maturity. See, it's one thing to demand respect, it's another to keep it. And emotional maturity is what turns initial admiration into long-term honor. Let's be real. Anyone can lose their cool. Anyone can react out of anger, frustration, or pride. The world is full of triggers, and it doesn't take much to push someone into saying or doing something they'll regret. But emotional maturity is when you develop the ability to control your emotions instead of letting your emotions control you. There's a difference between feeling and reacting. You can feel anger without becoming destructive. You can feel hurt without becoming bitter. You can feel disrespected without lowering yourself to disrespect in return. This isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about understanding that your response defines you more than the situation itself. A man deeply respects a woman who can be firm without being disrespectful, who can be passionate without being reckless, who can express herself without tearing others down. That level of control doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to win the battle within before you try to win the battle outside. Think about this in a storm. The strongest trees don't survive because they're the tallest or the prettiest. They survive because they have deep roots and a flexible trunk. Emotional maturity is your deep root system. It keeps you grounded when life tries to uproot you. It keeps you steady when the winds of conflict and misunderstanding blow hard. Men notice this. They notice the woman who doesn't let every little thing get under her skin. They notice the woman who doesn't make decisions in the heat of the moment that she'll regret later. They notice the woman who, even when she's upset, can communicate what's wrong without turning the situation into a battlefield. And that earns respect faster than any other quality because it shows them you have control over the one thing most people lose first: their emotions. Here's the truth. Life is going to throw situations at you specifically to test this. Someone will say something they know will hurt. Someone will push your boundaries just to see how far you'll go before snapping. Someone will try to provoke you into a fight because people who lack control love dragging others into their chaos. And in those moments, emotional maturity is your armor. It doesn't mean you don't speak up. It doesn't mean you let disrespect slide. It means you address it with clarity, calmness, and conviction. That way, the conversation stays about the issue, not about your reaction. Because the moment you let your emotions explode, the focus shifts. People stop talking about what they did wrong and start talking about how you reacted. And just like that, you've lost the upper hand. When you stay composed, you keep your power. You make it clear that no one else dictates your mood, your tone, or your decisions. And that is deeply respected because it's so rare. Most people live as emotional slaves. If someone presses the right button, they're instantly in chaos. But when a man sees that you don't have those buttons easily pushed, he realizes you're on a different level. There's also something else about emotional maturity. It makes your words carry more weight. When you're not constantly emotional about everything, people take notice when you do speak with passion. Because they know you're not just reacting, you're responding from a place of thought and truth. Your voice becomes a voice of reason, not noise. And when a man sees that he doesn't just listen, he remembers. The combination of self-respect and emotional maturity is unstoppable. One sets the boundary, the other enforces it with grace. One tells the world how to treat you, the other ensures you're treated that way without unnecessary battles. Together, they form the foundation of deep, lasting respect. Respect that isn't based on fear, manipulation, or temporary attraction, but on genuine admiration for who you are and how you live. There's something powerful about a person who knows exactly what they will and will not accept, and lives by it every single day without needing to broadcast it to the world. Standards are not just about rules for others. They're a reflection of the value you place on yourself. The problem is, many people confuse standards with arrogance. And in doing so, they either lower them to be liked or raise them so unrealistically high that they push away everyone. True strength is finding that balance, where your standards are firm enough to protect you, but open enough to allow connection. See, standards are like a filter. They keep the wrong things out and let the right things in. Without them, you end up surrounded by anyone and anything that wants access to your life, and that's a recipe for being drained, disrespected, and disappointed. When you have standards, you create a natural boundary. People know where the line is, and the ones worth keeping will respect it. Here's the thing, high standards are not about how expensive the gifts are, how much money someone makes, or how perfect they appear on the surface. High standards are about character, consistency, and the way they treat you when the world isn't watching. It's about whether their actions match their words, whether they respect your boundaries, whether they add to your peace or constantly take from it. Too many people throw away their standards because they're afraid of being alone. But loneliness with peace is far better than company with chaos. If you have to compromise your dignity just to keep someone in your life, that's not a relationship. That's a transaction. You're trading pieces of yourself for the illusion of companionship. And the truth is, once someone realizes you're willing to trade your standards for their presence, they lose respect for you, even if they never say it out loud. Men respect women with standards because those standards communicate something without a single word. You're not desperate. You're not waiting for someone to give you worth. You've already established your value, and you're willing to wait for someone who recognizes it. This forces people to approach you with intention instead of convenience. They know they can't just show up halfway because you'll notice. They know they can't play games because you'll walk away. But let me be clear, standards without kindness are just walls. You don't have to be cold to protect yourself. In fact, the most powerful combination is having high standards with a warm heart. That means you treat people with respect and grace, but you don't tolerate disrespect in return. You give second chances when appropriate, but you also know when enough is enough. You can forgive without inviting the same behavior back into your life. There's a quiet confidence in a woman like that. She doesn't have to shout about her standards, she simply lives them. People notice not because she's trying to prove a point, but because she's consistent. She says what she means and means what she says, and that consistency builds a reputation that travels ahead of her. By the time people meet her, they've already heard about the way she carries herself, the way she doesn't entertain nonsense, and the way she remains kind without being naive. And this is where independence and purpose come into play. Because the truth is, high standards are easier to maintain when you're not relying on someone else to give you direction, validation, or identity. A woman with purpose doesn't need someone to tell her where she's going. She already has a destination. She doesn't need someone to fill her days. Her schedule is already filled with goals, passions, and responsibilities that matter to her. Independence is not about rejecting help or acting like you don't need anyone. It's about building a life that is fulfilling enough that you're not afraid of being alone. And that is one of the most respected traits a person can have, because it shifts the power dynamic. When you're not dependent on someone for your happiness, you get to choose relationships from a place of strength, not survival. Purpose is what keeps you grounded when emotions try to pull you in different directions. It's what keeps you from chasing things that look good, but don't align with your values. When you have purpose, you're not easily swayed by smooth words or temporary attention because you have a bigger vision in mind. And men notice this. They see the woman who doesn't drop everything for someone she just met, who doesn't neglect her dreams just to fit into someone else's. That discipline is attractive because it shows you're not just living for the moment. You're living for something bigger. Think about it. When you're busy pursuing your purpose, you don't have time for games. You're not sitting around wondering why someone hasn't texted you back, because your focus is on building the life you want. You're not adjusting your values just to keep someone interested, because you know that the right person will be drawn to your authenticity. This doesn't make you hard to get, it makes you hard to forget. And here's the beauty of independence. It doesn't just protect you from the wrong people, it draws in the right ones. People who are secure in themselves are attracted to others who are secure. A man who's confident, focused, and driven will respect a woman who's the same, because he knows she's with him by choice, not by necessity. There's no greater compliment than knowing someone is with you because they want to be, not because they have to be. But independence without purpose can turn into isolation. Purpose is what gives independence direction. Without it, you might end up building walls so high that no one can climb them. Purpose makes your independence inviting instead of intimidating. It says, I'm complete on my own, but I'm open to someone who complements my life. That's the sweet spot. Whole, but not closed off, focused, but still capable of love and connection. It's important to understand that purpose doesn't have to be some grand, world-changing mission. It can be building a business, raising a family, mastering a skill, serving your community, or simply becoming the best version of yourself. Purpose is personal, and it evolves over time. What matters is that you have something that wakes you up in the morning with a sense of direction, something that makes you want to keep improving, something that gives your life meaning beyond relationships. When a man sees a woman living with purpose, it challenges him. It inspires him to step up, to match her energy, to bring value to her life instead of distractions. Because deep down, he knows she doesn't need him to survive. She's inviting him to grow with her. And that's where the deepest respect is born, in the recognition that you're not each other's crutches, but partners in building something greater. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to have purpose, because life has a way of revealing who's truly driven and who's just performing. And when you have both independence and purpose, you naturally command respect, because you're living proof that you can stand on your own 2 feet while still walking alongside someone else. You're whole, yet open. Strong, yet compassionate. Uncompromising in your values, yet generous in your heart. The combination of high standards, independence, and purpose creates a force that doesn't just attract respect. It demands it without a single word. It says, I know who I am, I know where I'm going, and I won't settle for anything that doesn't align with that. And when you live that way, you stop worrying about whether you'll be respected, because respect becomes the natural byproduct of your life. The thing about respect is that it's not built in one moment. It's built over time. And that's where consistency of character comes in. Anybody can act right for a day, a week, maybe even a few months. But real character is about who you are when no one is clapping, when no one is checking, when there's nothing to gain in the moment. People watch patterns, not promises. They pay more attention to the life you live than the speeches you give. Consistency is the proof that you are who you say you are. You can inspire someone with your words, but you only keep their respect with your actions. Repeatedly. It's easy to play a role when you're trying to impress someone, but the truth always shows up in the long run, and men especially respect a woman who is the same person in public and in private, the same person with the CEO as she is with the janitor, the same person when she's praised as when she's criticized, because inconsistency makes people doubt you. If one day you're solid and the next day you're unstable, people don't know which version they're going to get. And doubt is the enemy of respect. But when your character is consistent, people know exactly what to expect. They know you stand on principles, not moods. They know you make decisions based on values, not convenience. And that reliability is a rare and respected quality. Consistency doesn't mean perfection. You can make mistakes and still be consistent if your core values never shift based on who's watching or what you can get out of a situation. It means if you believe in honesty, you're honest even when lying would be easier. If you believe in kindness, you show it even when the other person doesn't deserve it. If you believe in loyalty, you stay loyal even when you're tempted not to. A lot of people can show up strong when the conditions are perfect. But who you are when life gets messy says everything about you. Do you bend your morals to fit in with whoever's around you? Do you talk about people one way to their face and another behind their back? Do you change your story to avoid looking bad? All of that chips away at respect because it shows you don't have a steady foundation. When your character is consistent, you're not worried about being found out because there's nothing to hide. You're not juggling different versions of yourself depending on the situation. And that kind of stability brings a deep sense of peace because you know you're living in alignment with your values, and the right people will see that and trust it. Men pay attention to this far more than they admit. They notice when a woman's words and actions line up, when she holds the same standard for herself that she expects from others, when she doesn't change her principles just to win approval. And that builds a level of respect that surface qualities could never match. But even the most consistent character will face challenges because life will always bring moments of conflict. And that's where grace under conflict comes in. You can have all the self-respect, maturity, standards, independence, and consistency in the world, but if you fall apart the moment things get tense, people will question your strength. Conflict reveals more about a person than comfort ever will. It's easy to be kind when everyone's treating you well, easy to be calm when no one is testing you, easy to be fair when nothing's on the line. But in moments of disagreement, in moments when you're being wrong, in moments when your pride is on the line, that's when the real you shows up. Grace under conflict is not about staying silent while being mistreated. It's about addressing problems without letting anger dictate the outcome. It's knowing that you can defend yourself without demeaning someone else, that you can stand firm without losing control, that you can disagree without destroying the relationship if it's worth keeping. This is where so many lose respect, not because of the conflict itself, but because of how they handled it. Words spoken in rage can't be unsaid, and actions taken out of spite can't always be undone. But when you keep your composure, when you choose your responses carefully, when you refuse to let the other person's behavior drag you down to their level, you rise above the situation and maintain your dignity. Men respect women who can navigate conflict without chaos, because it shows wisdom, it shows discipline, and it shows strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard. It shows you're not reactive, you're intentional. You're not looking to win the argument at the cost of the relationship, but you're also not afraid to walk away if respect is no longer on the table. Think of it like a captain steering a ship through a storm. Panic will only make things worse. Rash moves can lead to disaster, but steady hands, clear vision, and calm leadership can get everyone through safely. That's what grace under conflict looks like. It's steadying the ship even when the waves are crashing. This kind of grace comes from self-control, but it also comes from perspective. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every comment is worth a response. Not every insult deserves your energy. Sometimes the most powerful move is silence, not because you're weak, but because you know your peace is too valuable to trade for temporary satisfaction. Other times, the most powerful move is speaking with firmness and clarity, making your position known without losing your composure. Grace under conflict doesn't just protect your relationships. It protects your reputation. People will forget what the argument was about, but they'll remember how you handled yourself. They'll remember whether you stayed true to your values or let the heat of the moment drag you into actions you're not proud of. And in a world where many people are quick to attack, to insult, to escalate, The one who can remain graceful under pressure stands out immediately. It's important to understand that grace under conflict doesn't mean letting people walk over you. It means you confront the issue without losing sight of who you are. It means you can be strong without being cruel. You can be direct without being disrespectful. You can be protective of yourself without becoming destructive to others. When you master this, you gain a different kind of respect. The respect that comes from people knowing that even if they disagree with you, they can still trust you to be fair, to be level-headed, to be consistent in your principles no matter what. That's the kind of respect that lasts long after the disagreement is over, the kind that makes people want to work with you, stand beside you, and speak highly of you even when you're not in the room. And when you bring together consistency of character with grace under conflict, you create a presence that's unshakable. You show the world that your values are not situational, that your standards don't vanish under pressure, that your dignity isn't negotiable just because the circumstances are difficult. And that is the kind of presence that commands respect, not just from men, but from everyone who crosses your path.